Actually, in this beautiful town. And your name is?
I'm Matt Rolleman.
Good day, Matt. Can you sort of explain to our viewers whereabouts we are?
Yep, we're located in Baden on 39 Schneider's Road West.
Okay. And how old is this actually location by any chance?
The original hotel that was built on this site was built in 1858, which was a wooden structure. It was picked up and moved actually around the corner in town here, and the building that we're in now was built in 1874. And July 22nd, 1874 is what its date stone has been marked at.
Okay. Is this building well known for anything throughout the history, or?
Well, historically, it's always been it was opened as a restaurant and a hotel. It's always run as a sort of restaurant and tavern. We've been told that it's one of the longest running, continuous running restaurant and taverns in southwestern Ontario. And rooms were rented by the night for a long period of time, and now the hotel rooms have been made into apartments.
Okay. So before we actually did some filming, I did notice the train tracks were behind us. Is there any connection with the train tracks by any chance?
Well, originally the building would have been built close to the tracks, as it was a convenient location for passengers to stop and have meals here, maybe spend a night here. It was also it was very common for traveling salesmen to come in, and they would use the banquet hall here at the location, and they would sell their wares. So they would have merchants come in, and then local people would come and buy stuff, buy goods. And that was probably in the late 1800s, obviously in the early 1900s that was happening.
Okay. Now I know across the internet though that you guys actually have some wonderful pictures and all that. Can you sort of explain about the pictures though? Because I hear there's some great stories.
Yeah. So we have above our bar where we're standing. There's hand painted tin ceilings, tin ceiling tiles, and they were painted around 1910. There was a traveler who was staying at the hotel at the time, and to pay his room and board, he was painting tin ceiling tiles. There is some connection. They believe he might have been working at the Walford Terrace in downtown Kitchener as well. Some of the artwork there was done by this particular artist. There is also, they believe, some connection to Castle Kilbride, which is a historical site across the road. They might have been doing some work there as well. And that's around 1910 that this was being done.
Okay. All right. Now, did you guys do any renovation at all for this location from the time that you guys purchased it by any chance?
We haven't done a ton of renovations. The historical part of the building, we're trying to maintain it as it's been designated a historical site in September of 2000. We've been working hard to preserve the history of the building.
Okay. Now, while the renovations were going on, did you find any unique archives by any chance that were actually hidden?
We didn't really find a lot. When we did some of the renovations, we didn't find a lot of stuff. I mean, we found things of under the floorboards. We found old newspapers from dating back to the early 1900s. We found things in the walls, insulation. I mean, at some points they used brick and sort of rubble as insulation in the building. That kind of thing, which sort of dates the building and really shows you how things were done many years ago. But that would be about it.
You were saying though that you guys actually had in the past had a hotel. So you guys still have this as a hotel, or? No,
we never had it as a hotel. I mean, it's called the Baden Hotel because it was rooms were rented for a long time. Travelers would stay in the rooms. Obviously, this was a main route. We're based on a main route that was heading towards Goderich, so there was lots of people that would stay here. We have had all the apartments it's all renovated into apartments now, so we rent out the space.
Okay. Now I know to the past and all that there was horse wagons, even the train and all that. Do you know how people actually used to arrive here by any chance? Or?
It was a major route. People would come by horses. Locally, people would come by horse and buggy. There wasn't stables here that could keep up to 100 horses at a time with their horse and buggies. And so it was a very popular place, a very popular meeting place for groups, community groups, and again for merchants. There was a banquet hall upstairs that was used for banquets and parties, but also was used as almost like a shopping mall where the train would come, the merchants would get off the train, basically go upstairs and set up all their wares. It's been about gathering the community together, and we still have that now. It's this area, Wilmot Township is the township we're in, has grown dramatically, but it still has a small community feeling to it. So and that's sort of our focus. We want to be sort of locally driven and driven by regulars, and the community groups still come here and use this as their meeting place, and And so it still has that same sort of feel, that historic feel, where people have always come here as their gathering spot.
Whereabouts were the train tracks located?
The train tracks are
Even with the old carriage house.
Yeah, the carriage house was across the road from the front door of the restaurant, and the carriage house actually was vandalized and burnt down in the 90s. The train track runs behind the restaurant, but the proximity to the road is the building is basically almost right on top of the road. We're a few feet away from the road. The train tracks were probably, we're maybe 100 meters from the train tracks. So the train runs very close to the building still.
I'm Trevor. I'm here with Jackie upstairs at the Baden Hotel from EJ's. And we're going to talk a little bit about the upstairs area here that used to be the original hotel rooms of the hotel.
So now we're standing in the hallway of where Matt had talked about the travelers coming into the hotel and staying in some rooms. So we're standing in a nice big original wide hallway, and you can see the door here with some of the original glass that would have been from that time period as well.
So this glass is all original from
the colored glass, yeah.
Yeah, stained. Okay, so we're back on this side now, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the hotel rooms in this area upstairs of the hotel. So can you describe sort of what these hotels were used for at the time?
So mainly these rooms would have been where a traveler would stay just overnight, or maybe for a couple nights if he was involved in the selling of his wares, like Matt had talked about in the big banquet hall.
Right, which is just over here, right?
Yeah, which is just around them. Yeah. So you can see that they were rows of rooms in the nice big hallway. There would have been one more. This door wall was added, but there would have been one more on this level of the hotel.
Okay.
And these are the actual original rooms. They all had nice transom windows, which are now
looks like
locked
they've
up.
been removed.
Yeah, they had to be removed, but and some of the doors you can still see a room number on there.
So how many hotel rooms actually were there altogether?
I think there was 5 or 6, because then at the other end of the hall, on this floor, there was one on that end too.
Okay,
Yeah.
so a fairly large area for people to stay. Now we'll switch topics a little bit here since we talked about how the hotel was set up. We know from the past this hotel was used as sort of a meeting place where people would come and, like you said, sell stuff or get together. The train would actually bring people in from the tracks behind us here at the hotel. Do you know of any sort of paranormal stuff that has occurred here, or stories that people have told you, or you've heard that paranormal activity has happened up here?
I know that there are, like, sometimes my staff certainly talk about the fact that there has to be an EJ's ghost, cause but more specifically, I know, and not anything sort of overtly sort of scary, but my kids used to run around in the attic when we lived here, and they were only about 5 and 4.
Right.
And they would certainly always come down and tell me that there are other kids up there running around with them, right? And it wasn't,
that's interesting.
yeah, they were never scared, but they certainly.
So they had some little playmates upstairs to play
extra.
with. How many children of yours were up here, like by themselves at the time?
I had 3 total.
3,
yeah,
okay.
one was just a baby, so he was.
So how many other spirit children would you say they told you about? Just one, or would there be several?
Well, a couple. Like, yeah, they would talk about a couple more kids up there running around.
So there could have been like 5 or 6 kids all together playing upstairs.
Yeah.
But you only had 3. So.
I only had, yeah.
Well, that's interesting because this used to be a community area, so it makes sense that families would come through on the train on their travels and stuff. So.
Yeah, heading out to Godridge to the vacation areas, right?
Oh,
like
okay.
On the lakes, yeah.
Yes, so that makes sense that they bring their families up to the lake for the day or whatever, and the children will remember the spot if something happened to them, unfortunate circumstances, and they passed on, but they might come back here because they remember that as a happy time with their families.
Sure, so. Yeah. So here we have a trap door that's actually in the floor of our bar room, right next to the bar. It is open right down into the keg room, and our kegs get delivered on the outside through a hole through the outside wall. And right near this area is where we used to have bootleggers and men would congregate during Prohibition times, and you can see how they would use this to deliver drinks up and down, and then there would be a door that they could just shut. Okay? So here we are, we have the keg door, and this is how we still get all of our beer delivered this way through this trap on the outside wall into our basement where our big keg coolers are. And this is how anything that's drinkable that's going to come in a cask or a keg or a barrel would all have been delivered through this wall right into the basement. You usually have to have a couple guys deliver one to catch, yeah.
So Jackie was just showing exactly how they used to actually deliver the kegs, and also how they are still delivering kegs down for EJs. Now, I'll let you know, we're actually in the location though that the prohibition actually was. Prohibition, back in the day, there was no alcohol allowed to be drunk, actually with here in the province of Ontario. But still, there was actually still people that came down in certain private areas to actually have drinks. This is one location though, and a lot of locations throughout Southern Ontario actually do have them. If you'd like to be able to find out some more information, you can do so through your local library.
And we're here at the back of EJ's Bar in Baden, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the history and where the old train station depot used to be, which is actually just over here to the left of me. It actually burnt down in the late 1990s, we were told. The train tracks are still in use here today, as we just had a train go by earlier, so we caught that one on film too. But we're going to try a little bit of testing here today and use our tools and try to communicate with the past of Baden and just see if there's any spirits around that want to communicate that used to ride a train here to the hotel. So I'm going to take my spirit box here. This is the SB7 spirit box, and I have it hooked up to a speaker so you guys can actually hear any communication from the spirits today. So we're going to ask some questions generally just to see if we can pick up anything. We did a few tests earlier, and we were picking up some male and female voices coming through answering our questions. So hopefully they're still around and be able to communicate with us here today again. So let's start with a couple easy yes or no questions that you can answer for us. First of all, are there any spirits here that you want to communicate with us here today? There's a female that just came through there. I think she said pardon, so she wants to hear again. Are there any spirits that want to communicate with us here today? If you do, I have a device here that you could talk to us with and tell us a bit about you. Did you used to take the train here to the station at Baden when it was here? Far away here to visit Baden. Can you tell me how many spirits are here right now? Just heard a male voice in there that said something, but it was maybe 3 or something like that. So thank you very much. We did receive your answer. So that's an intelligent spirit that's actually talking to us right now. Let's ask you another question then. What did you used to do when you came here? Did you come here for the hotel? Did you come here for the bar when it was EJ's Bar back then? There was another response came through, but it was very low, like we weren't able to make that one out. So I'll ask how many spirits are here actually that want to communicate. Well, we're getting a few yes and no replies, but nothing too much right at the moment. So I'll take a little second here to actually explain to you a little bit about this device that I'm using right now. This is the SB7 Spirit Box, or Frank's Box as it sometimes is called. Basically what it does is it scans the radio bands and picks up frequencies, but it doesn't stop on strong frequencies like a normal radio. It'll keep scanning and scanning, and that creates the white noise that you're hearing through the speaker. And with this device, I can actually sweep the band in a forward or backwards motion or way, and I prefer using the backwards way because that way you're guaranteed not to be picking up a station because it's in reverse. You know it's not a person's voice. If you're picking up a normal person's voice on reverse, you know it's got to be a spirit. So that's the way I use this device. And right now I have it on the fastest scan and reverse, just so you know. But getting back to some questions here to the spirits, when did this train depot burn down? Can you tell me what year? Thought I heard 40s, is what I picked up. Mail just said 40. So I think sometime in the 1940s it burnt down, is what he was trying to say to me, or that's when he's from. Is that correct? Can you reply to me again, please? Are you from the 1940 era? Is there another voice come through to say hi? So I think another spirit wants to communicate. Can you tell us your name, please? That was a clear no. That was a female that doesn't want to communicate. Is there a reason why that you don't want to talk to us? We're friendly. I don't think she wants to talk. She said no, so. Can you tell us your name at all, or why you're here? Sometimes it does take spirits a while to communicate. They take a lot of energy. So it takes them a while to actually come through with an answer. So that's why we have to give it a few seconds after you ask a question. So I'll ask another question. Are you happy that EJ's bar is still up and running here?
Now, also for the tools though that were demonstrated earlier with Trevor, if you'd like to be able to check out some more great tools, you can do so through
Canadian Ghost Hunter Supplies, which is a link on our site as well.